and together with my colleagues, Arturo, Camille, and Milena, we will be offering this session for the next hour. Thanks for joining us today to discuss the link between IT solutions and the humanitarian sector, the context and the new approaches that no-code technologies can provide to humanitarian workers. As we are a big group and we are expecting more people still, please keep your microphones muted. And on behalf of time, be aware that we will go through the presentation first. But anyways, please feel free to write your questions in the chat whenever you wish, and we will be happy to address them at the end of the presentation. So before diving into the core subject of our session today, we will be briefly introducing relief applications for those who might not know us. We are a multicultural team of humanitarians and social workers, monitoring and evaluation specialists, IT developers, information management experts, designers, and many more. We are based all around the world, from France to India, Brazil, Spain, Congo, and other countries, covering all time zones. Relief Applications is a humanitarian to humanitarian organization that creates innovative solutions for NGOs, UN agencies, public sector entities, and any purpose-driven organization. In other words, we provide IT and data management solutions, information management, business and situation analysis, including needs, risks, market, perspective, and feasibility studies, data protection expertise, organizational advice, training, coaching, mentoring, and many other services. Today, we will be presenting our point of view regarding the challenges that the humanitarian sector faces in terms of IT and information management development, and the role, opportunities, and limitations that digital transformation implies for humanitarian organizations. Having introduced relief applications, I will now invite my colleagues to present themselves.
So maybe I can go first. My name is Arturo. I'm in the slide, you can see I'm the CTO of Relief Applications. Actually, I created the Relief Applications with a French Red Cross colleague and friend like 6 years ago. And I'm actually currently working with IFRC as an IM expert.
Thanks, Arturo. So I'm Cecilia. I've been at Relief Apps for 2 years and a half now, and I'm the business development lead.
Hello, I am Camille. I've been at Relief Application for almost a year now. I am the information management lead, and before that, I was working in the movement of the Red Cross and with Doctors Without Borders.
And hi, my name is Milena. I recently joined Relief Applications, and I'm working in the Humanitarian Consulting team as Information Management Officer.
So, to begin the session, we will talk about the humanitarian context in general, as it is getting increasingly complex. We all know that around the world, the number of natural and human-made crises and catastrophes is both rising and intensifying. Crises are also becoming more and more intricate, as they tend to occur simultaneously. For example, just recently, as we all know, Turkey was being hit with its biggest earthquake up until today, days after torrential rain and landslides occur, and 2 weeks just after that, 2 additional earthquakes. In these conditions, and with the lasting violent conflicts and the emergence of new ones, access is a key issue to provide humanitarian services to the affected population. At the same time, the funding of humanitarian activities is not keeping up. Cost efficiency is a top priority in an underfunded context. Prioritization of operations within and across crises is essential. In such a tense humanitarian context, and with resources becoming increasingly stretched, there is a critical need for reliable and detailed data in order to inform decisions while always respecting humanitarian principles.
I will now present the second side of today's topic, which is the IT context specific to humanitarian operations. So information management and data is central components of humanitarian operations for small and bigger organizations alike. And for their data management needs, more and more organizations rely on digital tools and on IT solutions. But there are still a few challenges in the use of IT data management tools. So firstly, solutions are rarely integrated, and there is a lack of interconnectivity among the tools that we used across the process of data management. So not only does it really can waste precious time, it can also result in more risk for data breaches. And as we all know, sharing data is really essential for the appropriate response and for the coordination of activities in the humanitarian sector. So it's really essential that the IT tools that we use, that we make sure that the IT tools that we use are secure, and especially in regards to data protection. And also, IT tools require important budgets for their creation, but also for the maintenance and for modification, and also for the related training activities. And in an environment that's really donor dependent, and when the funding is sometimes also project limited, it's sometimes hard to sustain overarching costs or transversal costs like the use of IT tools across different projects and also over time. Then the digital solutions can sometimes lack adaptability. So if you use a custom tool that is customized to your actual needs, it's sometimes hard to modify it, or if you do, you really need to go into another long round of coding, developing, testing, validation, and so on, which takes time and, of course, some more money. Then there can also be a mismatch between the skills of the people who use the tools and the complexity of the tools. And because the tools are eventually used by colleagues on the ground and non-technical staff in general, there can be a knowledge gap between the users and the actual developers of the tool, and that can lead into the inappropriate use of a solution, and in the end, into a loss of efficiency. And then finally, today we have to bear in mind the growing presence of new technologies such as artificial intelligence. They can definitely offer great opportunities and new possibilities for the sector, but it is also very important to understand its limitations, and also to make sure that the tools that we use respect the do no harm principle, and that we really protect the beneficiaries. So, well, as a summary, technology brings great opportunities for the humanitarian sector. I think we all agree on this, but especially in terms of
Milena, I think we lost you, no?
Yes. I think just to summarize then her part, we see that there is an exponential growth of artificial intelligence, but that we have to make sure that we look at the challenges and the limitations that they might offer for the humanitarian sector. Now, let's talk about the status quo and our potential options and directions here. For their data management needs, humanitarian organizations, they'll rely on two main options. The first one is creating a tool from scratch. This implies hiring an IT team of developers and designers that will produce a custom solution. This solution can be anything, an application, a platform. What we need to keep in mind here is that this option is specifically tailored to the needs of the organization. Creating such a tool allows organization to have the full ownership of the source code, to have precise features they wanted, and to have to have flexibility for sustaining the tool. However, this option implies very high upfront costs on top of the maintenance cost, and most of all, a very long process, as mentioned, of testing, going back and forth before the solution can actually run smoothly, which is not applicable for emergency situations. The second direction here is to use something off the shelf. This refers to a ready-made standardized solution. They are available to purchase and use immediately. This option can be valued because of the possibility to use the tool straight away, because compared to creating a tool from scratch, this option usually comes at lower initial costs, for example, through a monthly fee. An off-the-shelf tool can also allow users to have access to wide documentation and support, as other customers have already tried and tested the product. However, because this option is not tailored to a specific need, organization may require to have several tools off the shelf, one for data collection, one for analysis, and one for visualization. The multiplicity here is an issue because obviously the initial low monthly fee of one solution will be duplicated as we add more and more solutions to answer to our different needs. Above cost, in terms of human resources, teams will also need to be trained in all of these different tools. In terms of humanitarian management, what we often see in the humanitarian sector is that organization will use, for example, Excel or Survey CTO or any other data collection tool to collect and store data, and then maybe use R for further analysis, and maybe after that Power BI and Tableau to create a dashboard. The two options we mentioned are very valid and can be useful for specific circumstances. However, there is a third way, the use of no-code tools. It will not be a magical solution to answer to all of our digital needs, but in many cases, it can be a powerful alternative to, let's say, the more traditional options.
So, to better understand this third way, let us tell you a bit more about no-code. No-code is an interface that allows anyone, regardless of their IT skills and technical background beyond basic computer literacy, to create and deploy digital tools such as an app, a platform, a software, a website, etc. Using no-code, a user can drag and drop pre-built elements like building blocks and organize the selected features in a desired layout. No-code therefore provides a visual layer over code to make it accessible to non-technical users while remaining powerful. With no-code, anyone can, for example, build, deploy, use, and modify an app in real time without writing a single line of code.
So, although you might not have heard of the term no code in itself, it's absolutely nothing new, and I can bet that you or anybody in your organization have most likely already used at least one no-code platform. Kobo Toolbox is a great example of a no-code tool that is very well known and widely used in the nonprofit sector for data collection. Although you have the pure, let's say, drag and drop features, which you can see here on the screen on the bottom left, this is the Kobo online interface. And although you can use it this way, you can also decide to go and create surveys using formulas in Excel. Both of these uses still remain a no-code solution. But by using Excel and with a little bit of training, the user can access advanced and offline possibilities. But both cases, they are not going to do a single line of code. For data visualization, Power BI or Tableau can be used without coding a single item. In this page, we've also included some other no-code tools or platforms, such as, for example, Slack or MailChimp, which are widely used communication solutions in the humanitarian sector. We also have Squarespace, WordPress, Wix, which are all website design platforms that can be used without having to code anything. For workflow automation, you have Zapier. For spreadsheets and database, you can also have Airtable and Notion. Of course, there are many, many, many more options. We've just put some of the main tools used in the humanitarian context. To make one last thing clear before moving on, just because a solution is referred to as a no-code one, it does not necessarily mean that it is open source. Open source implies that users can view, copy, and repurpose the source code to make any changes if needed. Kobo Toolbox is a great example of an open source no-code tool. Power BI is not. Tableau is, and I could go on. Another thing about no-code solution is that they can either be free or subject to licenses. I will take the same two examples. Kobo is therefore, hold on a minute, free, open source, no-code tool. Power BI gives you a free trial, but once that trial is over, it becomes a licensed no-code tool. Now, Milena will dive into the potential disadvantages.
So there are a few limitations when resorting to no-code. So firstly, many no-code tools are still limited to specific use and are not freely expandable if they are not open source, as we just said. And in reality, many no-code tools were first developed for a specific project or a specific purpose, and then were expanded or standardized for anyone to use. So you can still see, although you have many features, you can still see in the background sometimes that it is limited for a very specific purpose. And in the similar way, you also have limited customization because you are limited to the features that have been actually already developed by the provider. Still, the no-code providers are always expanding their features, and they are also perfecting the existing ones. So it is quite likely that one no-code tool that you use will become increasingly powerful over time. Then you have also a problem of the stability of the provider, the financial stability, because you are dependent on the provider for the sustainability of your tool. For many tools, however, this will not be that big of a risk because many no-code platforms are developed by well-established companies, but it is something to keep in mind. And finally, because it is created by a third party, you have limited control over the tools. So that means that you have limited control over its evolution. So you might, you have no power on deciding what features will be developed next. And also you have limited control over the code. So you might not have access to the code behind the platform. So in that case, it's also very important to assess the provider's work ethics and to really read attentively the terms of use and define characters in the contract. But that holds true for any external tool that your organization might use.
So, as mentioned, no-code tools have limitations today. However, because the supply is ever growing and so is the demand, it's very likely that the number of limitations we've presented and their impact will decrease in the future. Now we will be talking about the general advantages that no-code tools can offer. The first one is the fact that no-code tools are accessible to a very broad audience. Anyone with basic computer knowledge can use no-code solutions, therefore potentially filling a knowledge gap, especially at the field level. No-code tools are also agile. There is no need to follow the traditional IT development path, alpha, beta, release. Instead, the user is the builder and the builder is the end user, so they can follow their own path. Creating an application using no-code from the bottom up can also be done in a matter of days or even hours in some cases. Launching a customized tool using traditional IT methods takes much, much longer, up to months or even more in some cases.
We could also say that no-code is adaptable even after deployment. You can easily change the layout, add features, or adapt the structure of the application using no-code without having to go through a team of developers. What is more, providers are constantly expanding their offer and new functionalities are developed over time, increasing the performance of the tools. Another general advantage is its user-centeredness, meaning that no code can be created by the final user of the application, which increases the likelihood of being fit for purpose, and also empowers the users as they own and manage the tool. Security measures are another general advantage, as most of the time no-code programs have a built-in security that follows international regulations in terms of data protection. As mentioned, it is still essential to read the terms of use, but it is in the interest of providers to ensure that their tools are secure and protect the users.
Then in many cases, no-code tools can be integrated within a system of tools thanks to an API integration. So API stands for Application Program Interface, and basically it defines the communication channels between two different tools, so how you can use the content of one into another, so it bridges tools. So many no-code tools have this API integration feature, and but you can also have no-code tools that have multiple activities within a single tool, so that it reduces the number of different tools that you use in the end for your data management activities. And no-code is also generally an affordable solution. And if it's not free, it is usually acquired in exchange of a monthly fee or a periodic fee. And you do not need to hire developers, as we mentioned already earlier, which really represents a big cut into the IT budget for launch. And then although the cost is periodic, you also have quite a few advantages with this. So we mentioned the built-in security, but you also have customer service, you have a community of users as well, and also the evolutive aspect of the platform. So the provider will still keep developing new features, and it is quite unlikely that your tool would be outdated. And then finally, because of its affordability and also its adaptability, no-code tool is generally a sustainable option. And as we already mentioned, because the budget is often time and also activity kind of bound, it is many organizations develop specific tools for specific projects, and then it's hard to sustain when the partnership is over or maybe when the project changes. But with no code, you can really develop tailored solutions, a customized solution, but that fits the needs at a certain time. You can also modify the tool so that it is adapted to evolving needs, and you can also maybe replicate it in a similar context.
In the humanitarian sector, those advantages can be extremely valuable. Among the multiple benefits of no-code for humanitarians, we will present today 3 practices that can be strengthened through the expansion of the use of no-code. Firstly, thanks to its adaptability, agility, and speed of launch, no-code can provide a stronger, flexible response to accompany field and headquarter workers in their operation and in the evolution of their needs. Secondly, thanks to its affordability and accessibility, no-code can create great opportunities to empower local actors to own their digital tools and build more sustainable solutions. And finally, precisely because it is user-centered, integrated, and it incorporates built-in security, no-code can strengthen coordination within organizations and across actors.
So, the first benefit that no-code offers in terms of humanitarian practices is a reinforced flexible response. As mentioned, no-code is super fast to launch, very adaptable to the potential evolution of the needs. The great majority of no-code products provide built-in testing in real time, so you can create a functioning solution from the first go. You can easily modify the content or the layout of the platform even after it's been published or used. No-code tools also reduce the number of intermediaries, as it is both owned and managed by the users. All of this comes to show that the use of no-code solutions can have a positive impact on the flexibility of the response. As mentioned at the beginning of this session, the humanitarian state today shows that adapting to context, changing the type or the quantity of support at the right time, or responding quickly and appropriately to the unexpected crises and challenges that may occur is crucial. Flexibility requires prioritization, which itself requires strategic decisions. Those right decisions can only be taken if the available, detailed, and reliable data is properly collected, analyzed, and presented to the decision makers. No-code tools can therefore act as a great asset towards strengthening the flexibility of the humanitarian response in general.
No-code tools can also provide amazing opportunities for reinforcing the practice of localization. So no-code can really support locally driven initiatives in their activities thanks to its ease of use and also its affordability. So in practice, local organizations and field staff can really build and develop themselves tailored application that really fits their needs and also the context challenges that they know best. So you can have offline option, you can build the tool directly in the language that is going to be used and so on. And in this way, local actors can really own the tools that they use, and they are less dependent also on partners. And this really increases the retention of knowledge over time and can really lead to sustainable solutions for local actors. Also, the easy access to no-code participates in the general process of democratization of technology, and this can really encourage more organizations to resort to digital data management tools and application. And this will is likely to result into more systematic collection and more systematic recording of data that can really have a direct impact in partnerships. So for instance, it will increase the transparency, but also the fluidity and the communication with the donors and with the partners. But it can also have a very big leverage for locally driven advocacy activities. So with better recording of data, local organization can really construct narratives that are supported by facts, and they can build more powerful messages as well. And so in general, with the greater amount of local organizations recording the data related to the context that they are working in, this really is likely to benefit the entire sector, and the increased volume of data will better inform decisions.
As we were saying, the use of no-code tools can also strengthen coordination within organizations and with partners. So earlier we said that greater digitalization of local partners can create smoother and more transparent channels for communication and coordination of activities. But even bigger international organizations can benefit from the use of simplified tools. Too often, complex tools adopted by organizations are not used consistently and appropriately across headquarters, regional, and local offices. This can come from many different reasons, but one of them is a lack of appropriate training for final users. So no matter how powerful a tool is, if it's not used properly, it results in general loss of efficiency. Therefore, when relevant, it is actually better to use simple but efficient tools with a user-friendly interface. No-code tools also reinforce a common practice across the different levels of an organization. As we said earlier, throughout this session, the importance of reinforcing security and maintaining confidential data secured is crucial. When using a simple adaptive no-code tool, we reduce the security risks and potential breaches, or even simply the potential loss of data. And finally, as a conclusion for the reasons why no-code tools can reinforce humanitarian practices, we would like to mention that no-code contributes to the 9 core humanitarian standards by allowing better informed decisions. More specifically, it helps guarantee that humanitarian response is appropriate and relevant, effective and timely. It strengthens local capacities and avoids negative effects. It is coordinated and complementary, and that humanitarian actors are continuously taught and learn to improve.
So we have recently published a report on a website on the application of no-code technologies to the humanitarian sector. So you can find it on the link here, or just find it on the website. So the report is called No Code for Good, How No-Code Can Strengthen Adaptability and Response and Empower Local Actors. It is the second edition of the report, following a more general presentation of no-code and its benefits for humanitarians that we had done last year based on the research with various field actors. And in this year's report, you can find more details over the different elements that we have mentioned today during the presentation, but you can also find more concrete examples and use cases that involved the use of no-code in real humanitarian context. So if you're interested in learning more about no-code and its applications, you can definitely have a look on our website.
Thank you. I see we have some questions in the chat. We will take them just at the end of the presentation. We will now be talking about ORT. ORT is a no-code tool that was developed and created specifically for humanitarians by humanitarians. The goal of ORT is to allow all of the steps of data management cycle to be performed in one single tool. Relief Application is an official partner for the implementation of ORT. ORT can be used for data collection. The tool provides pre-built templates and forms, and the well talked about during the session, the famous drag and drop features. For data analysis, we can set up filters and use improved search engines to find information quickly and easily. Data models also evolve in real time, and databases are created on the go, avoiding duplication and cluttering. ORT also provides data visualization. It can be done by creating maps, tables, grids, and all types of charts you can think of: pies, donuts, bars, line, etc., etc. And finally, throughout the entire management process, ORT is protecting the data through encryption, backups, potential audits, and recovery mechanisms. The system is compliant with General Data Protection Regulation and the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, commonly known as GDPR and HIPAA. We will now go into some of the main specific features of ORT. First of all, it allows for the geolocalization of the information through an easy integration with GIS softwares. And it allows to collect and export geographical data in formats such as GeoJSON. Secondly, ORT provides the creation of what we call a workflow in order to create links between all of the different forms and the different dashboards that you can create inside the same tool. ORT was also designed to use APIs to connect to and from other systems, such as Kobo Toolbox, Power BI, SPSS, Excel, Google Workspace, you name it, in such a way that you could continue, for example, doing your data collection on Kobo, but then connect the result to ORT for your analysis and visualization, or vice versa. ORT also allows for notification to be automatically triggered to keep users informed of their required action. It can be, I don't know, say, oh, this user has to look at the specific information that just came, or a new form has been filled, or this new user has logged in, or in more general terms, potential changes in the system. Finally, the last main feature presented today is the fact that ORT has a strong role, permission, and user management. As needed, we can create specific roles and access rules. For example, say the admin of the organization has to oversee the entire set of projects in the organization, he can do it. The regional manager, for example, can only see the dashboards for his region, or the project manager has to see the whole data cycle for his project, and the volunteer can only be allowed to see the data collection part. All of this is possible.
So today, ORT partners with many organizations, such as the Red Cross movement, but also United Nations and agencies, for instance, ILO and others. Here on the screen, you have an example of a project that was made using ORT. So the project consisted in the mapping of food assistance services in the territory of the French Guiana, and it was supported by the French Red Cross. So on the left side of the screen, you can see one of the forms that was made to build this data set on the different services already existing in the territory. And then on the right side, you see the dashboard that was created using the dataset stored directly into the application, and that was used to just show the maps of the assistance, food assistance that is existing in the country, to also allow a better coordination.
So we are closer to the end of the presentation. So if you are interested in the benefits of this type of solution for your own projects, or if you're simply curious and would like to learn more about no-code, please feel free to contact us. We will be happy to discuss your specific needs and together think of the best approach to find the perfect solution for you. That said, we will go now through the questions and comments you've left during the presentation. We will first take a look at the chat, and if anyone wants to raise the hand to pose a question, also please feel free to do it.
So maybe we can address Julio's question first, no? So Julio was asking about the difference between low code and no code. So maybe I can contribute here my view on this from a, let's say, normal point of view, and then maybe Camille from a technical point of view. For me, the difference between so First of all, I'm not sure there is a clear definition on this, like mathematically clear, where we can say this is a no-code tool and this is a low-code tool. For me, the main difference is whether the tool allows me to work on it on my own without having to do anything extra, like maybe compilation or a script somewhere that I have to install and then run in another machine to be able to do what I want to do. For example, in Kobo, I can just create my question, my form. I can test the form right away and I can deploy it right away. I don't need to do any other kind of action to make it work. I don't need to do a script to do it, to launch it somewhere else. I don't need to wait for some compilation to be happening. I can just do the code and try it. But where for me the different or the definition cannot really be 100% clear every time is that these tools, even if it's like a Kobo or Power BI, even if it's a no-code tool where I can use it right away, it will not always be. I can also do scripting in Power BI, for example. I can also do some coding with Power BI. But the difference is that I can use it without that coding part. So I can use it right away just by dragging and dropping my charts into the dashboard and just displaying the data that I want to see directly. Camille?
Yeah, maybe just adding a little bit to this. I completely agree that the line between no code and low code is very, very thin, because today most of the platforms require, or let's say allow, some level of coding if you want to customize it further. So as you mentioned, no code is like literally you cannot do any coding, and low code will be you are allowed to do a little bit more to do some customization, but then it kind of defeats the purpose of calling it a no-code one. And just for info, pro code is one that allows you to code all the way. We have another question in the chat from Clara. Thank you for your presentation. Can Relief application provide training or support for setting up ORT? I will take that one, and the answer is absolutely. Our team can provide several support, actually. We can provide you with documents and tutorials, which have been created. We can also train you to set up your first project, to launch your first project. We also have, we can do maintenance. If you do not want to be trained, we can maintain the application for you. And we do have a 24/7 support if anything goes wrong at any point. And we have another question from Robbie Phillips. Just for information, can you guys put which organization you're from in the chat? That would be quite useful for us. Robbie Phillips asked, do you have a sense of how widely used no-code is? Arturo?
Yeah, I was thinking. So, Robbie, it's a very good question. I don't think we, or at least I have never seen numbers on this. It really depends on how we look at this. I think tools like Kobo or ODK, maybe, or things like this, especially for data collection, we can imagine that they are widespread. As far as I can see, everybody at one point is using it. From my point of view, for example, that I know better, the Red Cross, I think everybody is using some kind of ODK or Kobo version on it. Even ODK-X is being used. Power BI, of course, if we consider it as a no-code application, is also widely spread. So in a way, I think it's difficult to put numbers to it, but I think even if the idea of no code may not be like a usual concept that is used by everybody, I think at least the implications of it are quite spread. Now, another difficulty that I can see to answer your question is that some organizations are also developing their own tools that could be using this no code. Like, for example, who I know for sure they have also some kind of tool like this where they work in a similar way. And those tools are not necessarily public, or I mean, are not necessarily available for everyone else. So I think it would be the idea of measuring with numbers For sure, actually, it's a good one. I would like to know about it. I think it's very difficult, but I think we can imagine that maybe not the concept, but the usage of no-code applications is widely spread.
Yes, if I may complete a little bit on this, I think if we look outside of the humanitarian sector in the world in general, no-code tools are used a ton for anything, for data management, but not only data management, for communication, for project management, for anything. The thing in the humanitarian sector, it's very focused on some of the tools that Arturo mentioned, so Kobo, Power BI, etc. But we also have and I think we don't even know that these are no-code tools, but for example, Canva, which allows you to create, I don't know if you want to do a newsletter or anything, this is a no-code tool. So is MailChimp for doing communication invoices for people. And so I had another one in mind, Slack, or any of these tools, and of course mention it again, but Kobo is the tool, I guess, the most widely used and known across all organizations for data collection. Whoa, we have a lot of questions coming in. So the last one from Irene. Thanks for the presentation. I have a question. Can I deploy my own application on Google or Apple Store using ORT? Milena?
Yes, maybe I can take that one, because actually I've been also working in an internal use of ORT. It's mostly the IT specialists that have developed an app to monitor the well-being of Relief Applications, employees. And so it's an external app, but it uses ORT as a server, so you can access all the your data that is collected through the app. You can access it in ORT. And then I have worked also in creating a dashboard to monitor the well-being of the different employees. So it is for sure possible. If you need more maybe details on how to do it and so on, it might be better to address this to IT specialists in our teams. And but it is definitely possible.
We do have another question from Mr. Golam Mustafa. What are the main differences between Kobo and ORT, as both are no-code tools? Indeed, they are. That's a great question. Let's talk about Kobo first. Kobo is mainly a data collection tool. So you create a survey, you go in the field, collect your data, then you have it, you can export it in an Excel file. If you have GPS point, you can export it in a geographical file, but it's mainly purely for data collection. You do have some sort on Kobo Toolbox, some sort of a report coming up, but that is it. ORT is, let's say, the thing that could encompass all of it. ORT is the entire data cycle. So you can do your collection. You can even do it in Kobo through ORT and then download the result in ORT. But then you also have the integrated analysis that's already done with databases, and you have your visualization. So in a sense, ORT is kind of like Kobo plus R plus Power BI into one tool, if I may say this. Following on the question, Carolina, how to synchronize the records with offline uses in ORT? Who is okay to take that one? I guess I will. So you can, wait, sorry, let me reread, synchronize the records. Yes, you can synchronize records with offline uses. As I just mentioned, you can do it using offline storage. So for example, as mentioned, if you use Kobo, you can do your storage in Kobo and then download it in ORT through an integration. But you can also use background synchronization, where it allows users to synchronize in the background when the application is closed. The feature is limited using web browser caching capabilities. And it's important to note that the specific method of offline synchronization, well, it may vary depending on the version and the different functionalities of ORT you're using. It's always, for any of those questions related to ORT, actually, to check the ORT documentation and, of course, the team who is there to support you. And we can have tailor-made solutions according to your specific requirements. Thanks, very helpful. Cool, thank you. Let's take maybe another one. Arturo, do you want to take one?
I'm going through them. Sorry,
It's
there
okay.
are quite a few at the same time, and I'm not sure which one. Sorry, guys. We're just going through the question. So, Prime Livingston is asking whether ORT will provide complete correlated analysis in dashboard on real time. So I'm not sure what you mean exactly by correlated, because this is a very specific word, but yes, you can have an analysis on your dashboard based on the data that you are collecting real time. Yes. Now, real time, of course, has some implications for your field teams, in the sense that, as we all know, sometimes it's often the case that what we call real time is not really real time. It's more like a daily or every few days or things like this. But as long as you have your data up to date, like the data collection is up to date, then you can have it also updated. Yes. And then, Camille, are we getting ORT from Google Play Store? Yeah, maybe it's already late.
Yeah, we did mention this already a little bit, I think. So we're getting ORT from Google Play Store. Our technical team is actually available to assist you with setting up any mobile application. Users can deploy mobile application in Google Play Store or in Apple Play Store. So yes, it's possible using the ORT API for the backend. So yes, the question is yes. And then what else do we have? I do not understand. Can it compare between data set of different timing? So you mean if you collected data on different days, or?
This is about data we maybe like child data is taken in 2021, and the same data is taken, the same child data is taken 22, then 23, and can we able to collect, for example, BMI index? Is it possible to connect between different stages by default in reporting?
Yeah, I don't see why not. As long as you do have all the data sets, you can import in ORT some data sets that you had collected in the past, or you can collect it as of today. In the visualization part, you can also filter it by years. Say you just want the information of the BMI 2 years ago in 2021, that's possible. Yeah. And I think after this question, and since there is no more, unless anybody wants to have a last one, we will end the presentation now. If anybody wants to contact us on anything, any question, please feel free to send us a mail. The mail is on the slide that we've been having for the past 10 minutes. So yes, do not hesitate to contact us if you have any questions. And we wish you a great day and great sessions at the...
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Super. Bye.
Bye, everyone.